All right, I'm good.
All right, I'm just waiting for everything to get going. Just thinking about it. I left it upstairs breathing. I got a cup of it, I said. Come on, Twitch, do connect, damn it. What was that?
It was just me clicking my pen a bunch aggressively.
Oh, why'd you do that for? What did it ever do to you?
The little clippy thing that like you slide into your chest pocket or whatever broke.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a pretty good pen though. It's like Sharpie makes their own pens now.
Nice.
They're really fucking. If you should buy some. Like they're. I mean, if you actually still write analog, but like they're really fucking nice.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Fat Minute. We're back on vacation, and I'm just as cranky, ornery, and sleep deprived as I was before we left. I am, of course, your host, Don John, the world's largest love machine, and I'm joined tonight by the original Gerber baby, BVJ.
Hello.
How you doing, Blake?
It wasn't really a vacation, but okay.
Well, I used vacation just to make it sound like we were doing something productive.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I know I sure as hell wasn't.
No.
But we're picking up where we left off, continuing our retrospective look at the decade of the 2010s. Moving on with the year 2011. Just us tonight. We're just having a bro session. So we're going to start off with some cultural events that made the news headlines in 2011. And we'll start off with the wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton. And I put this one on the list because I thought it was an interesting contrast with the whole thing going on with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle now. Because I remember leading up to this wedding, it was like everybody was fucking invested in it. Like even people who you would not expect to give a fucking shit about what's going on with the royal family.
Hmm.
Um, I remember Jim Gaffigan made a joke about this once, kind of where he was talking about eating at McDonald's and how you have people nowadays who are like, oh, you eat at McDonald's, disgusting. And he's like, we all have our own McDonald's. For most people it's like gossip. We keep eating it up and gobbling it up, even though it's bad for us, but we can't get enough for it. He's like, it's all. He's like, if you care about who Jennifer Aniston's dating, it's McDonald's. If you care about what's going on with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, it's McDonald's. And if you care about the royal wedding, that's Burger King because that's not even our gossip.
That's good. That's good.
But I remember fucking everybody was invested in this wedding for some fucking reason or another. And like Kate Middleton, she could have taken a shit in the middle of a public street and people would have thought she was a total sweetheart. Like this woman could do no wrong, and it's a huge contrast to the portrayal in the media that Meghan Markle got, and it's just like, and then you get the people be like, it's not about her race, and it's just like, okay, well then what does she do to make everybody hate her? Like,
Yeah.
because it's like, and you see side by side comparisons of like her and Kate doing the exact same thing.
And like the Daily Mail headlines that like
Yeah,
with her. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they're doing the exact same thing, but like for some reason when Kate did it, it was cool and even endearing, but when Meghan Markle does it, it's bad, and it's a huge contrast, and it's like night and day. Um, but yeah, I just remember everybody losing their shit over this wedding, being so invested in it, and like it was on every late night talk show and every like news station, like almost the entire fucking year, or at least leading up to it.
The entire season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what do you got to say about it?
I mean, really just an echo of a lot of the stuff you touched on. Like everybody like was almost forcing themselves to care about it, which like not to just be like a naysayer or, just a negative dude for the sake of being negative. Like at the time it's like, okay, good for them. But then as time went on, it's like I can only congratulate someone so many times. Like what more do you want from me?
Right.
Um, but yeah, but now in hindsight, it's sour because it's like, oh wow, like, you know, like, it's just like you said. Like Meghan Markle could literally have forgotten to, pull a door shut all the way, and she was the new Hitler.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's yeah, just I. And then especially like when, I mean, other than like, I genuinely care about like Meghan Markle being treated well, but as far as like other stuff with the royal family, like, oh, where are they going for their getaway this weekend? Like, I guess William and Kate still, or what will they name their, other child if they ever have another one? It's like, okay, can I finally officially say I don't give a shit? Like,
yeah,
I live in America. Like,
yeah. They
I
don't
mean,
even have any actual power.
no, they're
They're
literally.
basically living monuments.
I guess like in a way they serve as like ambassadors, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's like whatever. We have our own people to gossip about. They have that family, and we have the Kardashians.
Yep, same exact thing.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure one takes bigger shits. But anyway,
Yeah, I don't think the
but
queen. I don't think the queen's taken a shit since the '80s.
um, sure. Well, I mean, she's probably just all constipated from all that racism.
Roasted.
But what I remember most about that weekend, the wedding weekend, is how America one-upped it, which I will allow you to lead us into the next topic.
Yep, same weekend. America said, "Oh, you're having a wedding? Well, here we are. Here's our gift for the reception." The death of Bin Laden happened that same weekend. Um,
Just imagine like the wedding ceremony and flowers and nice violin and piano playing, and all of a sudden, your favorite cousins bust in playing "The Boys Are Back in Town."
yeah, I remember because it was kind of late at night when the news broke. It was like maybe not like after 9 or 10 o'clock at night when the news broke, and I was just watching TV and I just kind of like checked my phone and I started seeing stuff all over Facebook and MySpace. I still had a MySpace at the time, to really, date this incident or event, I should say. And I just remember seeing posts all over the place like Bin Laden dead, Bin Laden's been killed, blah blah blah. And I mean, we all remember that conference of Obama walking down the hallway. I'm pretty sure the best I'm pretty sure we all heard the song "I'm the Man" in our heads when he was walking towards the podium.
Even before it was released.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
maybe that's what inspired the dude to write it.
I mean, yeah, probably. So yeah, I just that was a pretty crazy night because in a weird way, I kind of forgot about him,
Yes, I
Osama
was
bin
gonna say
Laden.
that. I was gonna say that, like, because that was a thought I had when I was making this list. Like, up until that point, I too had almost forgotten that Bin Laden was a thing, and I think that just speaks to how much of a mess the previous administration had left the whole, handling of everything going on in the Middle East at the time.
Yeah, um, I agree. So it was just really exciting. And when I mean, I know in a weird way it's kind of weird to like celebrate death, but like it was one of the true uncool people in the world. So
Yeah.
I was fine with that. And he walked out to announce it, and I'm like, wow, there it is. There's your second term.
Yeah. He accomplished in 3 years what George W. Bush couldn't in 8.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people who hear that will try to say something along the lines of, Obama got there because of what George Bush started. It's like, no,
No, not really.
I don't even think anybody who worked with George W. Bush would give him credit for
No.
how he left things.
No, he basically had to start from scratch.
Yeah,
And
and I
the
mean,
thing,
the reading Obama's memoirs that he just released a few months ago, it's the first part of his memoirs, and it covers his first term. The part covering his second term will come out later on, I guess, sometime this year. But um, near the end of the book, the end of the book pretty much like covers this, leading up to this and when it happens. And like he talks about when he first gets in the office, that was like one of the first things he did was he immediately was like he looked at everything that George W. Bush had like going on with the Middle East, and like all the problem was everything that we had going on over there was conflated into like one singular issue, and it just created this giant mess. and basically Obama like just he restructured everything, and he made it a point like to get Obama to get Bin Laden because that was a promise he made during the campaign was I'm gonna get him. And yeah, it's just crazy reading the book, just hearing like how much planning and detail went into it and how long it took because like they pretty much had his location down like fairly early in Obama's first term. Um,
Hmm.
and they were like, we got this place, this compound where we see this dude who comes out around the same time almost every day and just kind of walks around. We think it's him. And he was like, well, I don't want think, I want know. And, some more time goes by and they're like, yeah, we can say like pretty much beyond reasonable doubt that it's him. And just the different, like the planning that went into it, into the raid where they got him, and it's insane.
Yeah. The one thing I got so sick and tired of hearing, um, especially from, a certain someone, as you and I know him, the extreme independent,
The
was,
extreme moderate.
yeah, and it's like, um, well, Barack Obama didn't kill Osama bin Laden. Navy SEALs killed him. Barack Obama didn't do anything, and it's like, Navy SEALs aren't New York City cops that just walk a beat downtown and see what trouble they can get into. Like, they weren't
Yeah,
just strolling by and heard some noise down the alleyway and was like, "Oh, let's go check that out." Like, I got so sick and tired of hearing that, and it's a shitty argument, and it's a very uneducated argument. Like,
yeah,
don't talk about something you don't fucking know.
yeah,
Um, but but yeah, no, that was he walked out to say he's dead, and I was like, 2012.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, that's
I
about all I
miss
have
him.
to say on it.
Um,
Me
Obama,
too.
not Bin Laden.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I just remember like the first thing, like when Barack Obama won, Osama bin Laden released a statement being like, "It won't mean anything. Nothing's going to change. Everything's going to be the same." And it's like, oh wow, okay,
Tweets that aged badly.
yeah. Tweets that age badly. Yeah. Last online 4 years ago.
BRB Pizza Man's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I highly recommend reading his book if you haven't yet.
I would recommend, even without having read it just yet, I would recommend reading it more than watching Zero Dark 30.
Yeah, or at least get the audiobook, which he does himself.
Oh, wow.
You get to hear Barack Obama drop a few f bombs.
Does he do an impression of anybody?
I don't know. I haven't listened to
Oh, okay. That'd be funny if he like had an impression for certain people.
it. All right, next major event of 2011, Occupy Wall Street. This was really where the income and wealth inequality in this country, like conversations about that, really started and really lit up the way they are now.
Yeah,
And it just sort of happened out of nowhere, like just these protests in New York City, and it also kind of started the conversations in a smaller way that we have now about police brutality and how the police kind of need a reform from the bottom up. Because I mean, we all saw the news footage of protesters just literally sitting and doing nothing and getting pepper sprayed and bum rush and all this other stuff. Um, and it brought a lot of attention to multiple issues, but of course the biggest one being the income and wealth inequality. The slogan, "We are the 99%." And then it started in September and it went on until November when they were finally like forced to leave the area in New York City where they were protesting at. But then that just caused similar protests to pop up all over the country. And I mean, in a way, it's still going on to this day, just these conversations and these issues.
yeah. I couldn't. I mean, obviously, with like the core, like overarching, I guess, umbrella issue of against the mistreatment of the lower class, or income inequality, and that you know hoarding wealth is disgusting. Like, I agree with that. I just, I guess, from where I was able to view it, I found it to be really messy because a lot of people. It was just one of those things where like a lot of people were jumping in on it, and then everybody kept trying to make up like their own interpretation of what it meant and what it was about and what it was for,
Yeah,
and it's just it didn't really have like a a cohesive, coherent, consistent, unified like I guess thought bubble to it.
it was kind of like
Um,
Coney 2012.
oh, jeez, Pete.
I can't wait till we can talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, next year. But so yeah, it's just what I can say is like a little too messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, better luck next time.
All right, the next major event of 2011, the death of Gaddafi. I mean, I can't remember if it was like around this year, or maybe probably started the previous year. Just a lot of tension in the country of Libya with, they had a civil war going on there, and then for a while there was a lot of like worries that it was going to become another Iraq war for us, that we were going to, or maybe even another Al Qaeda, because it was like, oh, we're giving support and stuff to the insurgents in that country trying to overthrow Gaddafi. Are these insurgents going to become? Because that's how Al Qaeda was created.
Right.
We supported this group thinking, oh, we'll kick Russia out of the Middle East, and then an enemy of my enemy is my friend. No, not quite, buddy. So there was a lot of fear that we were, repeating our mistakes with Libya. Um,
Hmm.
and then, Gaddafi got overthrown. He went into hiding, and they found him. And we've all seen the video of him getting cornholed to death. I mean, I have anyway. I don't know if you have.
I have not. No.
Oh yeah, they straight up stab him in the butthole with a bayonet
Um.
multiple times.
Well, okay.
But I mean, this is another one. It's kind of like a bit of a gray area because it's, of course, there's the fears of what happens, with us just supporting an insurgency against the government. Are we creating a power vacuum that something worse can take over in? But at the same time, Gaddafi was another one of those people, another one of those guys who just was not a cool dude.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been in charge of the country in the first place.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I may not have too much to add, but yeah, just I mean, just that whole area of the world is just unfortunately a mess, and I'm just fear that we will never ever get to leave it. Um,
Nope.
nope. So
Or at least not, not leave it unsupervised.
yeah, yeah, basically.
And
So
we have no one to blame for that for that status other than ourselves,
no, no,
because we couldn't leave well enough alone.
I don't disagree.
Another way that the thing with Libya was similar to the war in Iraq and all that is because most of the people didn't know what the fuck was going on and didn't know what it was about, and just a lot of misinformation going on. Um, I mean, one of my favorite things about the related to the civil war in Libya was during the presidential campaign when um, Herman Cain was asked about it. what are your what are your thoughts on Libya? And he just spends like a solid 30 seconds just like so um,
Barack
Libya,
Obama.
Barack Obama. Which one's Libya again?
That was like a spiritual prequel to Gary Johnson. And what is Aleppo? You're kidding, right? No.
No. See, at least Gary Johnson had the dignity and the integrity to admit, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Herman Cain tried to fucking come up with an excuse in real time, and it showed
He's
bad.
like, I just don't think Barack Obama handled it well. What part didn't he handle well?
Well, I
I,
don't want to comment on it one way
I,
or the other until I
yeah,
find out the full story.
yeah. Just the whole sitting. He just wanted to say, I don't know why and I don't know how, but Barack Obama sucks because I said so.
I believe these next few lines come from the Pokemon movie.
Rest in peace.
I miss him just because he was so fucking goofy.
Yeah.
All right, next one, the end of the Iraq War. sort of. We went to Iraq in 2003 for the wrong reasons, complete bullshit, and we finally left in 2011. We were finally like we have no fucking reason to be here. We shouldn't have been here to begin with. We made this mess, and I mean we've cleaned it up as best we could. It's time to go. Like let's leave. We left, and we're back again. We went back in 2014 because ISIS decided to be like, hey, yo, hold up a minute. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like he said. It just seems like we will never be able to just leave that area of the world. There's always got to be something going on there, and it's just it kind of has me worried with us finally leaving Afghanistan this year. Like, what the fuck's going to happen the second we leave there?
Yeah. I Well, it was an honest try.
Yeah, tough luck, man. There's always FUBU.
Jesus God, I knew you were gonna say that eventually.
All right, last major event of 2011, the death of Kim Jong Il. Oh man, ain't God good?
Jeez, Pete.
Oh come on, he deserved to fucking die. The only sad part is we didn't do it. He was an
Yeah,
ass.
but
He was a bad person too.
I ain't saying he's not. I was just I was just marveling at your not holding the punches there. Um, no, but if anything, the only sad part is that his son's worse.
Oh god, yeah, his son is just as evil, but definitely more competent. He actually stands a chance of being a problem.
Um, that was like what my brother-in-law once told me when I was like still a teenager, and I was just, I was like, I was nervous about North Korea because, just they were in the news again,
Yeah,
and he was like, first of all, that guy loves our movies way too much. He's never going to do anything.
yeah,
And then The Onion even had that like video where it's like, we reach peace with them if as long as we allow him to direct the next Batman movie. So, but yeah, I don't know. He was one of those guys where like I just in a weird way I kind of expected him to like live forever. It was like
yeah.
one of those instances.
He wasn't even really that. I think he was only in like his mid 60s when he died, if I remember correctly.
By today's standards, he was not that old by
Yeah,
any means.
yeah,
No, I mean like for someone like him, I mean like the bad luck the real world has. Like for someone like him, I was expecting for him to live to be like 102.
yeah,
So, but I just think it's amazing that his son doesn't poop or pee.
yeah. He doesn't have
He
a
doesn't.
butthole.
He doesn't have a butthole. He works so hard that he just evaporates all that waste inside his body.
Yeah, it's it's absolutely crazy the cult of personality he and his son have built around themselves in that country. Like it's like I think one of them said something about I can't remember if it was him or his son that said this that said like he got 18 hole-in-ones in a row playing golf.
Yeah,
Like, are you that fucking vain? Are you like compensating that fucking hard? Like,
yeah.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
and it's just like, okay, I'm willing to take something like that, or like they were able to make like every single time they played basketball, they've made a slam dunk. It's just they don't get to do it the times that the cameras are around.
Right.
Like, I can understand that shit, but like, how do you sit down and think to yourself, yeah, I'm gonna tell the entire world I don't have a butthole. Like, how does that sound cool? Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's one thing to be like, yeah, man, I used to date Scarlett Johansson, but she'll never admit it. Like, no, you're gonna tell people you just have one solid Cyclops butt cheek. And there's your title for the episode, Cyclops butt cheek.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely getting used. That might also be the title of my autobiography. Oh, let's move on to the fun stuff for the night. Move on to movies. And what a list of movies we got here tonight.
Yes, we do.
First one on the list, Drive Angry.
Shot in 3D.
Oh man, comedy of the year. This movie was like peak Nicolas Cage. Like
Oh my God, yeah,
I don't think Nicolas Cage has done a movie more fucking ridiculous and stupid than this.
yeah.
Oh, but what about Ghost Rider? No, no, no. You see, this is Ghost Rider if Ghost Rider didn't actually have any powers.
This is no. This is a Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie if it was actually fun. It is a better Ghost Rider movie than the actual Ghost Rider movies with Nicolas Cage.
Like,
Um,
just from the second this movie starts, you're just like, what is this, and why can't I leave?
I absolutely adore this movie. It is so dumb. It is so fun. I explained to you, Donnie, before we popped it in the DVD player. I said, if Tommy Wiseau's The Room is the Citizen Kane or Godfather of, bad movies, like so bad they're good, then Drive Angry is The Dark Knight. I, I just, I mean, they, the villain, the villain got his dick bit off in the backstory. and and Nicolas Cage refers to him as dickless. And then you have William Fichtner or whatever as the accountant, the devil's right hand man.
Hey, you, fat fuck.
Yeah, he is so perfect. Like everyone hands it up. I mean, it's just I really like. This is one of those movies where I don't even want to talk about it that much because it's just like just watch it. Like it's just dumb fun and it's
You,
just a great ride.
you gotta watch it with your buddies. Like,
Yeah,
you can't watch this by yourself. You gotta watch it with your buddies
it has
or
one.
your
Yeah,
wife.
yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. Amen to that though. Like, don't watch it by yourself. You got to watch it with your buddies, and it has one of my favorite like villain deaths in movie history. Like the aesthetics of it, the visual effects of it. Like he gets launched into the sky, and like his skull just rattles out of his head, and like it's almost like it's almost like if the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark was made on Microsoft Paint.
My favorite scene is when he's hooking up with that woman in the hotel room, and she's just like on top of him, like riding them, but he's like completely clothed, and she's like, "Why don't you take your clothes off?" And he's got like a fucking cigar in his mouth, and he's just like, "I never disrobe before a fight." And then those
I
fucking
love it.
guys just burst in the room, guns blazing, and he's like shooting them off while still fucking her, and rolling
It,
around on the floor.
it is. You have you have a movie like Hitman Agent 47 that like is absolutely awful. It's
Hmm.
terrible. It's horrible.
Hmm.
But it's still taking itself seriously. And
Yeah.
then and then you have a movie like this that absolutely knows what it is. And that's what I respect. Like at least own up to what you are. Know what you are. Try to be in on the joke if you do become a joke. And this movie, it winks at you so many times it's basically a twitch.
All right, next movie, Sucker Punch. I didn't see this when it first came out. I saw it for the first time like when you brought it over when we were all hanging out. That was the first time I saw it, and I remember seeing so much stuff about this movie and kind of seeing some hype behind it. I did not care for this movie at all. I think it's a long, boring slog. It's tough to sit through. I had a hard time staying awake during it. Like there's easily like separate like 20-minute chunks, like three different like separate 20-minute chunks where like literally fucking nothing happens in this movie. And it's just a hard movie to sit through in my opinion. It looks pretty though.
It definitely looks pretty. I love the aesthetic. Uh, Marriage, partnership, relationship of Larry Fong, DP, and Zack Snyder. I don't want to fall into the Zack Snyder trap where I just like talk about something for far too long because I always do that. But yeah, I mean, I was excited for this movie. It was one of my most anticipated movies of 2011, just because this was when I started to really, you know, like feel any fandom for a director. And I had loved Watchmen. Um, and I appreciated the visuals of 300, and I was excited for Man of Steel. Like by the time this came out, like he had already been hired as the director for Superman, and I was like, oh man, his new movie comes out, and I was also excited that this was a completely quote unquote original movie. I mean, obviously you see like a lot of inspiration, you see a lot of borrowing, you see a lot of like I guess odes and tributes and homages and references, but this is like the most this would have been in theory the most like pure Zack Snyder movie yet, like not based on a previous IP or anything.
Hmm.
And it's I mean, to specifically nitpick the story itself, I was kind of sort of immediately turned off. My bad. I was kind of sort of immediately turned off by the fact that like the different worlds they go into are like just in her imagination and no one else's. Like I was kind of anticipating that they were literally going to get sucked into another reality, and I guess walk through a doorway, walk through a wormhole. I don't know if I was expecting some like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe type shit, but I mean, like, yeah, that was just kind of a turnoff for me. But as I grew older and I read, other think pieces on it, it is kind of like a commentary on, something that does exist in psychology and sociology where like, in order to cope with a certain event, somebody will kind of, mentally go to another place,
Hmm.
to put it in a more literal way, both a literal and a figurative way. So I kind of like respected that, which and I mean that is a thing in psychology that is studied, but it the extended edition definitely makes more sense. You actually see like, oh wow, okay, so John Hamm wasn't hired to be in a movie for only 60 seconds, but and apparently this is another Zack Snyder movie where we have yet to see the true Snyder cut. Apparently his version was much more gritty, even more gritty, and a harder R. Because the theatrical release of this was PG-13, and then the
Hmm.
Blu-ray was R. But the Blu-ray is just—it's only because she slashes a few orcs back to back. So yeah, it's to some a missed opportunity, but I do think it is nice to check out if you appreciate the other aesthetics and filmography of this artist, and I'll leave it at that.
I feel like Sucker Punch tried to be like a sort of modern Alice in Wonderland almost
That
in a
is
way.
literally exactly what it tried to be.
Yeah, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it's definitely not a movie where I can fault anybody for not being into it, but I don't know. Like lately, I kind of, even though I have no way to watch the true version, or so he says, I kind of want to revisit it sometime. I don't know. I'll update you.
Well, in the meantime, we'll move on to the next movie, Drive, starring literally me.
Oh man, you said it before I could.
Yeah, because I knew you were going to, and I wanted to rob you of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but Drive, I've only seen this once, and I saw it with you and Trevor, and I really liked this movie. I think this was like it definitely wasn't his first movie, but I think this was like the movie that like really caused Ryan Gosling to become like more well known, wasn't it?
Yeah, it no, and like yeah, you're not off by too far. Like this was when he really started to have a male fandom.
Yeah.
Because before like this was 2011, so yeah, before the 2010s, he was just known as like the Notebook guy,
Yeah.
and like girls thought he was cute, girls thought he was hot, and it was like okay, but then he started appearing in movies that for him were more artistically rewarding.
Hmm.
Um, which yeah, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie a lot, and I like just how like the whole movie, it is very much a slow burn, but it's a slow burn done well, and it's very like everything in the movie. It's very subtle, very restrained, and it's definitely a movie you need to like really just like I said Drive angry. You need to watch that with your buddies. I recommend watching Drive at least the first time, watching it by yourself, just so you can really like have no distractions and really let this movie sink in, so you can digest it fully.
I completely agree wholeheartedly. This isn't a movie where you should be cracking jokes every second. I mean, really, like allow the atmosphere. to seep in, sink in. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the meme of "he's literally me" became such a thing. Is that he just had a very relatable way of being silent but
Hmm.
saying a lot
Yeah.
and giving away giving away a lot, but then not too much with his eyes and his looks.
Hmm.
He kind of gives you everything and nothing at the same time. I don't know. It's a very vague way to talk about it, but no, I mean it is a cool movie, and it's a good introduction to like if a mainstream person, a casual person, wants to get into like some indie or art house films.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, where's a good starting point? It's like, okay, well, watch Drive. So if you
Yeah.
can watch Drive, like you can use that as like a stepping stone or a bridge to other stuff. Um,
It's funny you say that this isn't a movie you should be cracking jokes at because it spawned a joke that you, me, and Trevor fucking had going on for quite a while. My hands are dirty. Well, so am
yeah,
I.
yeah. It's just the way Albert Brooks delivers that. It's just like it's just Ryan Gosling's voice though too. It's just I love him and I love other stuff he's in, but I can't believe people were like fan casting him as Batman because I'm sorry, that guy does not have a Batman voice.
No.
It's just my hands are a little dirty. Just
So
Albert
am
Brooks.
I.
Oh my! And then it's like Trevor's like, what did the screenplay say? It's just like, as are these points to hands, and I'm like, how do you point to your own hands? Oh man.
Oh, well, next movie then, X-Men First Class. This movie definitely like revitalized the Fox X-Men series because before this you had X3, which was a mess, and then you had Origins Wolverine, which was just stupid um, and bad. Like, there's no other word for that movie. So this definitely like revitalized that series and brought a lot of interest back to that series. Overall, I think it's pretty good. I like it. I've even though I am a huge X-Men fan, just the Fox X-Men movies as a whole, I've never been like a super fan of them.
Hmm.
I've always felt like the series as a whole is just missing something, just missing that it factor for me. But First Class, I like it. Days of Future Past, I am not a huge fan of.
Hmm.
I still haven't watched Apocalypse
Yeah,
or Dark Phoenix.
yeah. I mean,
But I
I
mean,
don't.
with this movie, they got the casting perfectly for all the younger versions of the X-Men.
Yeah, I mean James McAvoy as young Charles Xavier, I thought was really good,
Hmm.
and I would say the best casting is Michael Fassbender as Magneto.
Yeah,
When it comes to like James McAvoy, I'm like, oh, he's good as a young Professor X, but you're never going to top Patrick Stewart as Professor X. Like that was just some of the most perfect casting ever.
hmm.
But when it comes to Michael Fassbender, I actually prefer him over Ian McKellen.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I don't know. I just think he has the more like worn out and like I guess Ian McKellen brought wisdom
Hmm.
and to the role, but like Michael Fassbender, I think is able to have wisdom, but then he also has more energy as Magneto. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into it too much because I know like in the future we want to have like an X-Men ranking, like we did with Spider-Man. Hopefully not 4 hours long,
Fuck
but
no.
but but yeah, X-Men First Class, it's arguably my favorite one in the franchise. I wanted it to be Days of Future Past, but it was one of those instances where sometimes more isn't more.
Yeah,
Sometimes, less is more, I guess,
yeah.
which is like I know it's a cliche, but um no, I mean X-Men in the 60s with the Cuban Missile Crisis, it's a lot of fun, and I thought it was pretty good, and it brought the emotion too. I thought it recreated, the prologue scene in the original X-Men very well in the concentration camp, and
Hmm.
yeah, I mean definitely,
I also loved the thing that really stood out to me with First Class was the development that was given to Mystique as a character.
yeah, they definitely gave you more of a reason to give a shit that she was there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then I like the director, or I mean, I liked what he did with it, Matthew Vaughn. I
Hmm.
just think his hiring was very like the hiring of him was very phoned in because he was literally hired like the month after Kick-Ass came out the year before,
Yeah.
and it was just like there was like, oh, we need a new director for the X-Men. And it's like Kick-Ass is in theaters. Hey, you want to make the next X-Men movie? It's just like very, I don't know. I just felt like they were like on a deadline.
Yeah. I mean, they
So.
probably were.
Well, yeah, true. They had to make a movie in 10 months,
Yeah.
which that's
Otherwise,
another.
otherwise, the rights are going back to Marvel.
Well, that's another thing. Well, yeah, that was really it. That's another thing, though. Like again, I want to try to save some stuff for an X Men episode, but um, this movie should have been a flat out disaster because like it felt very rushed.
Hmm.
Like Kick Ass, was released in April of 2010, and then this movie came out in June of 2011, which means it should have been done by like the spring.
Hmm.
So yeah, like they made a movie probably in less time it takes to like have a baby. So
All right. Well, on the other end of the spectrum of superhero movies for 2011, Green Lantern.
fuck.
I still have not seen this movie. I want to though, just to see how bad it actually is. Um, but just like the little clips and screenshots I've seen, just really give me a good idea of how much of a fucking turd this movie is. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember when this movie was announced, they were like, "This is going to be the first movie of like the DC cinematic universe." And I'm like, "All right, well, problem number one, you guys kind of have a mascot from like the 30s who's like considered to be the first superhero you could do for that, but whatever."
Yeah.
Um, and that's coming from someone who does like the Green Lantern. And it's like you mentioned how X-Men First Class should have been a fucking disaster. The Green Lantern should have been like a great fucking movie because you had a cool hero being played by fucking Ryan Reynolds. Like that's like a great choice for the Green Lantern. Um, and it from what I've seen, like I haven't watched the movie, but just from what I've seen, like I remember when they were like the suit's going to be completely animated, and I was like, why? And
Mm.
I've seen a clip of him with the suit and the mask, and you want to talk about looking like it was made in MS Paint.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just from what I've seen, it does not look like a good movie, but I still want to watch it just so I can see how fucking bad it is.
Um, without condemning in a condescending way, I have to fundamentally disagree with the approval of Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern.
Really?
I don't think he fits. I think he would have been fine as like I mean honestly like in his Van Wilder days, Ryan Reynolds would have been good as the Flash.
Yeah.
I think he was miscast. Like they got a comedic actor to play a character who isn't that comedic. Like Hal Jordan isn't like a stone cold prick. He's not like a lump on a log, but he's not Ryan Reynolds. I mean, it's just there's no way to put it. If he was maybe playing like I I don't know what other lantern is kind of. I mean, in my experience, the Green Lantern usually isn't like the comic relief. I guess maybe there's Guy Gardner who's
Hmm.
like the ginger, but he's never really like the front and center guy. He's usually like a side dude. But I would say that the casting was not that great there, though Kilowog, being voiced by Michael Clark Duncan,
Yeah.
was absolutely perfect. And
Yeah.
Jeffrey Rush's Tomare was pretty good. And then they got the guy who was Django Fett to be Abin Sur. I thought all those were good. And of course um Mark Strong as Sinestro. I thought that was really good. Like literally everyone else in the Green Lantern Corps than Hal Jordan was wonderfully cast. Um, and yeah, I agree with you that like this shouldn't have been a disaster. Like I don't think Ryan Reynolds. I don't think this movie is Ryan Reynolds' fault. I don't think him being there is what plunged the movie. This was directed by. His name escapes me. I'm sorry, even though I'm standing in front of a computer, but it doesn't really matter. Um, this was this was made by the guy who directed Goldeneye, which was the first Pierce Brosnan Bond movie, and he directed Casino Royale, which was the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie. So, two different times in two different decades, this director was given the task of reintroducing James Bond to that current generation. And both times he nailed it. People love GoldenEye, people love Casino Royale. So you would think like, oh, okay, like a Green Lantern movie, this is a no-brainer. Like it should be fine. Um, and yeah, it's just I guess Warner Brothers was hoping that this would be their Iron Man. Like they would
Hmm.
get like, the lesser popular character to spark their universe. But then it was just like, no, we'll just have the Superman movie be the
Yeah.
first the first because that just makes more sense.
We're gonna call a mulligan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally all Warner Brothers and DC does. They're just endless mulligans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
The Green Lantern movie is gonna be the first movie of the cinematic universe. It bombs. The Superman movie is gonna be the first movie of the cinematic universe. What about Green Lantern? Huh?
yeah. And there were just rumors that like Henry Cavill was going to have a cameo in the Green Lantern movie, and honestly, that would have made it more memorable. Other than talking about how bad it is, and I'm not trying to be like over dramatic. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm not trying to act like the kids in South Park with Indiana Jones 4, but I was bummed out. Like it was a bummer that just had how like it just wasn't good,
Yeah.
and I guess there just isn't anything more to it than that.
Which was a bigger case of backpedaling? The Green Lantern being the first movie of the DC Cinematic Universe, or Dracula Untold being the first movie of the Dark Universe?
I would say the Dark Universe is even funnier because
They canceled the whole universe.
yeah, they completely. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. They completely canceled it. It's just like you had you had Dracula Untold. It's just like okay, whatever. Nobody cared. And then you had the Tom Cruise Mummy, and it's just like never mind. But now it all worked out because what I said should have happened was what happened. I was like, no, you should get Blumhouse to produce the new Universal monster movies, make them micro budget films, or just don't make them $200 million. Don't make
Yeah.
them the same price as an Avengers movie. And guess what? The new Invisible Man movie is damn good.
Hell yeah.
Like, if you did you see it?
Oh yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
And they're guess what? They're gonna make a Wolfman remake starring literally me. And I'm like, no, Ryan Gosling's the new Wolfman. And I'm like, that's awesome. Now we're gonna have all these like 25-year-olds who try to relate to the Wolfman. But no, like yeah, the Dark Universe turned itself around, but it's not even the Dark Universe anymore. Nobody calls it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like Dracula Untold's the first. The Tom Cruise Mummy's the first. Okay, now hear us out.
There is no universe. We lied.
Yeah, it almost got to the point where every Terminator movie for the last 12 years has been this is the
Yeah.
start of a new trilogy.
Now hold on, man. It ain't like that.
Yeah. So.
Uh, Well, next movie then, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. We talked about in the last episode how Deathly Hallows Part 1 just kind of feels like a chore sometimes to watch. Overall, I think Deathly Hallows Part 2 is a very good movie. It's definitely one of the better Harry Potter movies in my opinion. And I mean, I definitely give it a bit of a pass on a lot of its mistakes just because I feel like most, if not all, of the mistakes that exist in the Deathly Hallows Part 2 are the results of the previous movies and just how they were handled. And I mean, I've said it a million times on this show before about how just at a certain point these movies really, were made for people who already read the books, and there's just a lot of shit that's cut out that really hinders these movies really badly. But overall, Deathly Hallows Part Two. I mean, I saw it in theaters. This was one of the few movies that was worth seeing in 3D, in my opinion. Um, I thought it looked really great in 3D. But I mean, I like it a lot. I still like it a lot. I still think it's one of the top tier Harry Potter movies. Um, and it just wraps the whole franchise up in a nice, neat little bow.
Yeah, I mean, I do like it. I definitely, here's the thing. you don't want the finale to your series, your franchise. First of all, you don't want it to be bad.
Right.
But second of all, you don't want it to be too slow. You don't want it to be especially boring
Hmm.
because the whole point is like this is you at the top of the roller coaster about to like go down. Like
Hmm.
you want it to be a good ride to the very end.
Hmm.
And it is like they don't make it too slow or anything, but but in trying to avoid that, they kind of sort of dabble in the opposite where I guess my only critique of this, and this is a pushed critique, like this, it's too fast. It's over before you know it, and with the previous movie and the movie before that being as long as they were, I found myself being like, why are you in such a hurry? Why are we going so fast? Like, what's the rush?
I mean,
Um,
in my opinion, a proper Harry Potter film franchise, each movie should be, if you want to do it properly and correctly, in my opinion, each movie needs to be give or take 3 hours long,
mhm.
and you need to do it and be bold about it.
I would say, when the time, I mean, without getting into coulda, woulda, shoulda,
Hmm.
I would say when the time comes for them to reboot,
Hmm.
um, I think the most logical thing that's looking us right in the face is an HBO show where each season is a book.
Well,
Each book is
they've
its own
already announced
season.
that that's going to be a thing, like
That
last
that
year,
that there's a new series, or are they remaking it?
that they're going to do a series.
But is it like are they new stories or like are they remaking each book into a season?
I'm pretty sure it's each book to a season. I'll look it up real quick just to be
Yeah,
sure, but
because I think that's well, if that is true, then that only proves my point. So
yeah. But I'll look it up real quick. But I'm pretty sure it's they're doing the books again. Um, that's not what I wanted. But yeah, I mean, I overall like in my like I said, in my opinion, if you wanted to do a film franchise of Harry Potter correctly, um, each movie needs to be close, if not 3 hours long.
hmm
Um, yeah, Harry Potter live action TV series in early development at HBO Max. This is from January of this year.
hmm
Um, let's see what it says. It doesn't really go into too much about what it is, but
yeah.
I that would be the
I mean, it's been 10 years,
yeah,
so
that would be the choice that would make most sense.
yeah,
Um, especially with the mixed reception that the Fantastic Beasts movies are getting right now.
yeah. I mean, I'm almost curious to see what the third film does at the box office because I don't think that's making $1 billion.
No.
So, but that's all I have to say on Harry Potter for now.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to the next movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I think I saw this in theaters with you.
Nope,
No?
nope. This was before we even knew each other.
Oh yeah, that's right. Duh, 2011 Dewey. Um,
We saw Dawn together.
that's right.
Yeah, and that
I
was
always get them confused, like which
no,
one's
that's fair.
which.
That's fair. And that was the best. That was the best Coco comment of all time. I'm telling the story right now. I'm
Do it.
sorry.
Do it.
So, so I go to the bathroom, and we're in like, of course, our theater back home. Like, oh wow, it's the Thursday night premiere for an action blockbuster. Let's put it in the small theater. Like, whatever,
Yeah,
guys. Like, what the. Anyway, so we're in the small theater again,
the short
and
bus.
yeah, like, oh wow, dude. Um, and I'm gone for like a few minutes, and I come back, and I can hear this one ad that was in front of all the movies at the time wrapping up. It's this Coca-Cola commercial where this like these group of teens go to basically a theme park for a day. Like it's not a specific one, it's a very generic one. Like it's not supposed to be like, oh, it's Disneyland or Disney World. But anyway, they go to a very like generic theme park for the day, and this boy and girl fall in love, and it all started with them, twisting off the cap to a glass bottle, and is playing the song where it's like, I cannot forget the time I first laid eyes on you. They're going on the roller coaster and they're so excited and they're leaving for the day, and that's it. That's the beginning of their love story. Is that they met over a bottle of Coke, soda pop at a theme park, and as soon as it ends, as soon as it ends, Kogel hates sappy shit. He hates he hates mushy, like lovey-dovey stuff. As soon as it ends, he goes, "Oh God, just untie the Six Flags and fucking hang me with them." The entire theater, because everyone heard it, all 20 people, the entire theater busts out laughing. And I walk in at the tail end of it, and everyone, Michael's in tears, you're in tears, everyone's in tears, and I'm like, what happened? And Kogel's the only one not laughing, and I knew right away to be like, what did he say?
I think the
No.
only theater comment that Zach made that I loved more than that was when we saw American Ultra.
Yeah, and
There was a dude like we're like close to the back of the theater, and there's a dude sitting like near the front row, and
yeah,
something happens in the movie that I guess was funny. I barely
it was
remember
with
that movie. It was kind of
it
a
was
fever dream.
it was with pardon my bluntness, I guess. Pardon the pun, but pardon my bluntness, but it's like the scene where like Kristen Stewart is kicking ass, but she's sexy at the same time. That's basically what happened.
Yeah, and this dude just lets out this loud ass fucking laugh. And like Zach, oh man, he noted.
It was more like a moan. It
Yeah,
was like he half laughs and then he goes, "Oh, oh man."
he nodded. And Zach, the way Zach said it, he sounded like he was proud of him.
Yeah, yeah, like he was about to toss him a towel. Oh goodness
Oh
gracious,
man,
if
here's
it
some
was like
butter for
that
your
one.
popcorn.
Anyway, remember when we were talking about the new Planet of the Apes movie?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, this was the first one since the Tim Burton movie that was just kind of weird that nobody really liked. Um,
That's
that
that's a good that's a good description of Tim Burton after 2000. That was kind of weird and nobody liked that.
yeah. But no, this one's a good one. I like how they because the Tim Burton one's just like a straight remake, isn't it?
Well, if you want to say a straight up remake, whatever, but yeah, it is a remake in
Yeah.
quotes.
Whereas this attempts to be like a prequel, be like how did the Planet of the Apes become the Planet of the Apes?
Right,
And
correct.
I liked it a lot. I like how it's like oh we're we got test lab animals and we're getting our comeuppance over how we treat them. And I also like how it's the Alzheimer's medication that they're working on, the treatment for Alzheimer's, the cure for Alzheimer's, and how that mutates into the disease that like causes apes to get smart and kills humans, like just the domino effect of it all.
And that was them making it that it was the cure for Alzheimer's. That was like kind of it was a reference, but I guess in a weird way it was kind of like a an almost crass homage to Charlton Heston himself because that's what he died of. He died of Alzheimer's.
Oh,
So yeah, it was them trying to do the cure for Alzheimer's. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was very good. I liked it a lot.
a lot of
Um,
emotion in it.
a lot of emotion. It was smart, and yeah, I mean, it was an exciting movie,
Hmm.
and I uh, I enjoyed it. I think. Did you ever see? Not to fast forward, I guess. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing. But did you ever see the third one, War
No,
4?
no.
It's good, but it's
I
also
thought you were
it's
about to be like, don't.
no, it's fine. It's just really forgettable. It's one of those things where like a couple weeks later, I totally forgot that I saw it.
Yeah,
And I didn't even think Dawn was as great as like everyone was promising me. Like I thought it was good, but
yeah,
people were like promising me like an A plus, and I got a solid B.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, these movies are indeed a solid B. I think they're good. They're well acted. I mean, Andy Serkis's performance in these is just great.
Yeah.
They really need to rethink. The Academy should rethink. Not having a Oscar for motion capture work and performance. So yeah, no, I recommend it. It's good.
Is
It's
there
one of the better reboots.
is there another movie coming up in development at all, or?
Um, so this movie, or like it was, this was designed as a trilogy. That's like the short answer. Is like they very much said no, war is like the finale of that Caesar trilogy.
Hmm.
As far as another one in general, after Disney bought Fox, they were like, okay, let's everything Fox ever made, let's make it again. So yeah, I think there is a interest in making another one, just like there is making another Predator.
Yeah.
Even though the one from 2018 absolutely sucked. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure eventually there will be another one.
All right. Well, then let's move on to our next reboot slash prequel of 2011, The Thing, or as we like to call it, The Thingy.
Yeah.
Um, I saw this for the first time with you guys during a get together, and I mean, I liked it a lot. I mean, it chose it made the right decision by deciding to be a prequel as well as a reboot, because when you have a movie like The Thing that's already so well done and iconic, and you're going to try to remake it, it's just kind of like, how can you improve on it, really? It's all
Hmm.
when you're that level of iconic. So I think they made the right decision by looking at it and be like, well, you know, they get there and they find those, the previous team, their bodies already fucked up and dead and everything. How did that happen? What happened there?
Right.
There's a story there, let's tell that story.
Hmm.
And I think overall it's just a very well done movie. Kind of a shame that it's not as iconic as the original, but I guess that's for a reason, because the original is the original. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean the effects of this movie too, like the special effects, holy shit.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I haven't seen it since that one time, but I remember thoroughly enjoying it.
Have you ever seen the? Oh, I mean, well, first of all, even John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982 isn't the actual original. Even
Right,
that's a remake
right.
of The Thing from Another World, Another Planet from like the 50s or something.
But the John
Um,
Carpenter one is the one that like everybody thinks of.
Correct. Have you seen that one?
The John Carpenter one?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's one of that's one of the best horror movies ever.
yeah.
And it's easily one of the best remakes ever. I mean, it truly is the best example of a remake. If you're going to remake something, make it worthwhile. As far as this one, The Thing, parentheses 2011, I I enjoyed it when I saw it in theaters. That October, I thought it was like, okay, this is the next best Halloweeny, themed movie we can have right now.
Hmm.
Um, so I enjoyed it at the time, but the YouTube channel Good Bad Flicks had a really good like exploring commentary on it, and I think in some ways it was made with decent intentions, and in other ways I don't think any of it's bad at all. I just think some of it is a missed opportunity.
Hmm.
Um, as far as like them being like, okay, well, instead of doing a remake, we'll do a prequel, because yeah, like you said, not to do a copy paste here, but you know, some shit went down beforehand. So what happened?
Hmm.
Other than like, I guess the obvious opinion that many others would have is sometimes some things are just cooler as a mystery. Like, don't show me everything. Like sometimes that makes it scarier. But then that's the path they want to take. That's the journey they want to take. Fine. What ends up happening is, in this prequel, these events that would have been in the prologue of the other movie, it kind of almost plays out beat by beat the
Yeah,
same,
yeah,
to the point where it's almost a remake anyway.
right.
and it's just one of those things where it's like, what are the odds of the same events happening to a different group of people, but in almost the same order?
Right.
Um, and that's just really a devil's advocate argument. I like the cast in this one. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I thought that was cool. Like instead of having like, okay, we'll get like the Kurt Russell of this decade or whatever, like just go in a different direction. And I thought that was wise. And one of the critiques of this movie is that they actually did try to do a lot of practical effects and designs and puppetry, but then the studio didn't like it, and they're like, "Well, this is fine for 1982, but it doesn't really fit in 2011."
Mm-hmm.
They went over it, and they almost did like a '97 Star Wars where they just put CGI over stuff, and yeah, that caught a lot of shit. So yeah, sorry to get a little long-winded there. I enjoyed it in the time. I definitely think like it was made with some good intentions, but some stuff there is a missed opportunity.
Did you see if there's a Thing board game?
Yes, by Mondo, isn't it?
I think. I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind. I wouldn't mind getting that and playing it sometime.
Oh my god. Yeah, we definitely got to try that out.
But we'll move
That
on.
should, that should definitely be an episode.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down for doing board game episodes.
I'm in.
All right. So we'll move on to the last movie of the night, Super 8. This is another movie that a lot of people like, and I just didn't really care for. That came
Hmm.
out this year. I mean, directed by J.J. Abrams. I've never been a huge J.J. Abrams fan. Um, I've always said that J.J. Abrams has never made his own movie. This is the closest he's ever come to making his own movie, and it's literally just E.T. meets the Goonies.
Hmm.
And I mean, I can understand and appreciate, making a movie that's a love letter to a director that inspired you. But it's just, it's very derivative. Like, there's a difference between being a cover band and just straight up plagiarism.
Hmm.
And this kind of blurs that line at moments. And it's also, it just, I barely remember anything in this movie just because I watched it and then like a couple weeks later I forgot about it. Like you said with War of the Planet of the Apes. Um, I mean the thing that sticks with me the most that I will give credit for is the opening scene when the main character's mom dies and she's at work and like there's an accident and it has the sign, this many days since, last accident, and then, the guy goes up and just changes the sign to 0.
Hmm.
um, but like, I don't understand like what the purpose of the alien is, what it's doing there. Did it crash land? Is it there for a reason? I don't understand like what their whole deal is with that thing. And then like at the end of the movie when it's flying away and like in its spaceship and going back home and they're all crying and everything, I'm like, why are you crying? It tried to fucking kill you guys. Like what the fuck? You, you, you tried to act like it's ET, but it's really a xenomorph. What? I just don't care for this movie at all. I'm okay with never seeing it again, and I'm okay with never seeing J.J. Abrams again, if we're being honest with you.
Jesus Christ.
Jar Jar Abrams.
So, as far as Super 8 goes, um, when I saw this movie, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant and beautiful. I It was one of those movies where like I appreciated that it existed. Like just the core concept of it, of a tribute to um, the 1980s Amblin films. And I'm like, you know what? I like that. They don't make movies like that anymore. Good for them. Thanks. And but yeah, I mean, it made me love J.J. Abrams more than I had already loved him from the first Star Trek movie. And yeah, for me it was easily the movie of the summer and possibly movie of the year. And as time went on, I understood why some people didn't rate it as high. I do think in a way it's an underrated movie. Like I don't know. I feel well. A lot of people don't even, like you said, don't even remember it. If I were to say it, a lot of people wouldn't even be like, "What are you talking about?" Um, it's underrated in a way, but yeah, some stuff like. the ending needed some notes. You can tell that he was both the writer, director, and the producer, and it was like, yeah, Steven Spielberg should have been like, yeah, I think you need to spend a little more time on those last few pages.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I like that, in order to make his own new summer blockbuster, he wanted to make an homage to the man who arguably invented the summer blockbuster. Because he had like, the sheriff of the town, and he was basically Jaws, and obviously you had the Goonies, and then you had like E.T. if E.T. was kind of a dickhead. Um,
What if E.T. but a dick?
but yeah, that's the thing though. It's like you saw the creature like chewing on some legs, and it's like we're supposed to feel bad for this thing. Like
Yeah.
um, but more than anything else, I love the score to this movie. Michael Giacchino's score is wonderful. I still have the ending track, "Letting Go," on my iTunes.
Hmm.
Um, but I think one of the best arguments against this movie, or not just against it, but pushing this movie aside, is when I was saying Super 8 is basically the movie equivalent of a cover band, but it's one of the best cover bands in the world. And my coworker Dimitri, who I was speaking to, said, "Okay, that's fine, but I don't have cover bands on my iPod. I just have the real thing."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, that's touche. Like you got me there."
I
Um,
will say
yeah,
Super 8's the closest thing we've ever had to an Earthbound movie.
yeah. And I guess the main thing to say, if someone would be like, "Wait, what was Super 8 again?" I say it was basically Stranger Things 5 years before Stranger Things came out, and
Yeah.
which, I mean, Stranger Things blows this out of the water.
Yeah.
Like the Duffer Brothers, good job.
Yeah.
Um, and I like Kyle Chandler, the father in this movie. I mean, I like him as an actor. The character's an asshole, but yeah, David Harbour as Hopper, like just awesome. Just an excellent job. So yeah, it's a
He's
shame.
literally me.
Yeah, yeah, he is. It's yeah. Final thoughts. It's a movie that unfortunately got buried, and that's a shame. So I don't know. I would be fine with another J.J. Abrams joint if it was kind of sort of like this, like completely his own thing from the first page to the last page, more or less, give or take. But and then just a few other movies I wanted to mention real quick. This was the summer for comedies. You had The Hangover Part Two, which was truly Die Hard 2, Die Harder, or Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, but with The Hangover. Like it's just the same plot all over again.
Yeah, I've only ever seen the first Hangover. I haven't seen part two or part three.
And I remember they came out the same month, and a lot of people leaving The Hangover Part Two thought to themselves, "I should have just seen Bridesmaids instead." And Bridesmaids is hilarious. I love that movie, especially the scene where they're all about to shit themselves. Even though that scene doesn't match the rest of the movie, like it just has a completely different energy. Um, and then you had Horrible Bosses, which is I think you've only seen the second one, Donnie, and the second one's sadly forgettable. But
Yeah.
the first Horrible Bosses is the best Hangover sequel that was never made. And yeah, that's it. Because I'm sure you don't want to talk about Your Highness.
Nope, fuck that movie.
It is a stupid movie, but I guess that's the point.
It's
Um,
not even funny.
I, I laughed at it a couple times, but yeah, it wasn't as much of like a gut pincher that I was hoping it would be.
I
So,
had I had more fun watching Zach hit his fucking TV with a broomstick than I did watching the movie itself.
all right, you can't reference something like that without telling the story. So now you're obligated. Before we move on, you're obligated to tell that story.
So we're at the house Zach was living in with his friend John at the time, and they got like one of those big screen TVs from the 90s that have like the speakers built in the bottom, and they weigh like as much as a baby elephant. Um,
It was what you put in your VHS from Blockbuster in.
exactly, exactly, one of those TVs. And like it has the speakers built in at the bottom, the giant fucking speakers. Well, for some reason, like the cover for the speakers was like taken off. I guess something was going on with them, and Zach was trying to fix them earlier or whatever. He's like, I think I got it working, so we're all good. We're watching
Or
the
the fact that
movie,
it was just, or the fact that it was just 25 years old.
or that too. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we're watching the movie, and like at first everything's fine, but like what, maybe a half hour into it,
Yeah.
we start hearing like this crackling sound, like just randomly in the middle of the movie, just and Zach literally just takes this fucking broom. It just starts poking into the speaker area with it from across the living room while sitting on the floor, mind you.
Yeah.
Just he just and it works and it's fine for another couple minutes and then it starts again. So he just starts, oh damn it! And eventually it does it again. Just like, hey Zach, the campfire is trying to tell us the s'mores are done.
Yeah. He looked like he was just making s'mores at a campfire. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, man, man, with all the money you're spending on Bailey's Irish Cream and whatnot, y'all could have just banded together for a new TV.
But the Bailey's Irish Cream is important. You
Sure,
ever
whatever.
you ever drink it from a shoe?
No.
All right, well, we're done with movies. Let's move on to TV. Normally we have TV shows that started and ended when we do these kind of episodes, but for 2011, not a lot, nothing really ended that was interesting as far as TV went, in my opinion. So just got a couple shows that started in 2011.
Sure.
First one, Bob's Burgers. Um, when Bob's Burgers started, I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I think a lot of fans will say the same thing. Like that first season's kind of rough, because I think the show was really trying to find its like sense of humor and its pacing and its rhythm and its identity as a whole. Um, but as the show went on, it got better. Like I think the recent seasons are still pretty good, but that first season's rough. Like there's a few golden moments, but overall that first season's rough. But like now looking at the show as a whole overall, I'd have to say it's a very good spiritual successor to King of the Hill because this came out like right after King of the Hill ended and it has a lot of the same people working on it. I think you in particular would really enjoy Bob's Burgers, Blake, especially if you like tough it out through that first season. And
I
it's not even that the first season is bad. It's just
mhm.
you watch it and you just kind of don't really feel like it's anything special. And then especially when you get past it and get into the later seasons, you're like, oh wow, like the show really has improved by comparison.
I have not. It's not that I don't appreciate that recommendation. I have not seen a single episode of Bob's Builders. I
Burgers.
just, huh?
You said Bob's Builders.
Oh, sorry. I have not seen a single episode of Bob's Burgers. But I just haven't been interested. And one thing I just have to say is I don't like how it is interesting that now, as time goes on, more and more, we have all these animated series that are aimed towards adults.
Hmm.
And the one thing I don't like is that most of them uh, have very sloppy animation, which is kind of, I guess there's an irony there that, like, oh, it's for adults, but it still looks like scribble artwork.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's something that's like kind of like, I don't know, that irks me that like none of these um none of these shows have a more like detailed design. Um, I mean, I guess it would be weird to watch a version of Bob's Burgers that's like drawn like Akira, but whatever. So, but
Yeah,
no, that's all I have to say.
I've only seen maybe a season's worth, if that, of random episodes altogether, but I would like to sit down and like actually watch the whole series from beginning to the present sometime.
Sure.
And then the next show that started in 2011, Workaholics. Um, Workaholics, I liked it at first. At first, I thought it was a pretty funny show, a pretty good show. I haven't watched it since it ended, so I don't know if I would feel the same way now. I feel like if I were to watch it now, I would feel like kind of over it and feel like I had matured past it for the most part. But
Yeah.
I remember liking season one and season two, and then I remember by the time I got to season three, I was like, this show has gotten fucking dumb, and I kind of like tuned out for the most part after that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's all I gotta
It's
say about Workaholics.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you here. Um, Yeah, I remember when like you and Trevor showed me an episode of this,
Hmm.
and I didn't say anything the whole time. And y'all looked over at me when it ended, and I go, "Play another one."
Yeah,
And it's just like it's a very like it's good like when you just need something simple on, when you don't
yeah.
really want to focus in on something or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like I mean, how many seasons did the show last? I want to know that.
I want to say four,
Let me.
4 or 5.
Oh, da, 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 da. Or is it Worka? Yeah, it's Worka.
Yeah,
Um,
it's work.
7 seasons.
Oh shit.
So this series, I feel like this series in a way is kind of like that one class clown you went to school with, where like at first they were you thought at first you'd kind of dug their humor, you dug their style, but then
Hmm.
as time went on, it's like man, you're really just up to the same old shit, aren't you?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's kind of the impression I get of the later seasons. It's like oh we're still doing this, huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, I
I,
guess
if I had to recommend an episode though, I would recommend the one where they all party like and get drunk the night before they have to work, and then they wake up and they're still drunk because they wake up and they're like, oh man, we're gonna be so hungover, and they wake up and they're like, oh wow, we're not hungover at all. Oh wait, it's because we're still drunk. So they have to like they spend the whole morning making sure that they're still like drunk but not completely wasted to where they can't function because if they sober up they're going to get hung over and they're not going to be able to function at all.
yeah.
It's just a funny like hamster wheel of an episode.
I respect that. And then it's the one thing is like another thing is I can't love a show too much when it does that thing where like the group of friends are assholes to each other.
And to
It's just
everybody else.
and to everybody else. And it's like one, you feel like you don't really have anybody to root for, and
Hmm.
two, it's like, and that's how I feel in a lot of episodes of that '70s show, where it feels like they're not even on the same side, and it's
Yeah.
just like, I'm sorry, why are all of you friends with each other again?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really all I got.
All right, next show, Bar Rescue. um I both love and hate this show because every time I see like a random clip on Facebook or YouTube or something, or like a random episode comes on, I can't look away. I gotta watch the train wreck. But I also hate it because one, you can't tell me John Taffer isn't just a certified asshole in real life. There's no way that that's not possible. And two, like while good in theory, like while it makes for good television, at least in theory, the idea of, we'll find this dive bar that's like struggling and like we'll try to like revive it and turn it around and get its shit together. The bars they're reviving, like 3/4 of them are like the owners are people who I wouldn't consider worth redeeming in any sense. Like a lot of these bars, the owners are like they got themselves into this shit because they're legitimately like not cool people. And it's just like I want to see them like find a bar that's like struggling for reasons that they just can't seem to figure out. Like maybe they're just in a bad location or the market's just not doing good or whatever, but they're owned by people that are like actually cool and would deserve to like have their business revived. Like I don't know, but maybe that's just me, but it's a weird show to say the least.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I have not seen a single episode of this show, and I have never seen this man before in my life. Is it anything like Hotel Impossible?
I don't know. I've never seen Hotel Impossible. Um, it's basically the bar version of what Gordon Ramsay does. What? What are you laughing about?
It's just I'm just thinking about Hotel Impossible. I just I guess so. Hotel Impossible is about this guy that goes to like failing hotels and tries to like get them back on their feet. So I
Hmm.
guess it's kind of the same theory.
Yeah.
And the episode I saw, he was teaching an owner how to properly wipe down the seat of a toilet,
Oh God.
which if you have to
Yeah.
if you have to explain that there's a right and wrong way to wipe down the toilet and the guy still doesn't get it, all hope is
Yeah.
lost. When you can't even make them understand, oh, so that's where the butt cheeks go. like he cleaned he wiped down the inside of the toilet and then he started wiping down the toilet seat itself. And the guy's like, "Do you just understand what you just did?" It's just-
Instructions unclear. Dick and toilet.
it's like that honestly reminds me of that meme where it's like, have you ever dated a girl who had a twin sister so you got confused and fucked her dad?
Oh man.
I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah, well, we still got a little bit more to do.
Okay.
But if you get the chance, just go on YouTube and watch a clip of Bar Rescue sometime and try to tell me that John Taffer isn't like an actual asshole in real life.
I mean, I guess to play devil's advocate, I guess you kind of have to be if that's what you do, you know?
No, you
Like,
see, like Gordon Ramsay does that with kitchens, but like Gordon Ramsay does that because in a kitchen it's got to be a well-oiled machine. Everybody's got to be on the same page. But like Gordon Ramsay's actually like when he's not like quote unquote working, he's actually a pretty chill dude. John Taffer's actually an asshole.
yeah, I guess in Gordon Ramsay's defense, he's trying to make sure somebody doesn't get sick and die of poisoning.
Yeah. But we'll move on to the last show for tonight. Last Man Standing. Home Improvement without the charm.
Yep, bingo.
Now, I remember when this show was announced, it was a big deal because it's like Tim Allen's returning to television. I'm like, oh, what you're saying is Tim Allen isn't bankable anymore. Um,
Tim Allen's returning to television. Oh, so there's at least another several years before Toy Story 4.
yeah. Um, and I remember like I watched like the first couple episodes just because they just happened to be on. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was all right. It's it really is home like a more contemporary Home Improvement in a lot of ways. But like it's a decent show. At least it was at first. But then as it went on and Tim Allen started to become more outspoken about his political beliefs, it that started to like bleed into the show, and the show really suffered for it in my opinion because like every other joke has to be about, oh, I'm conservative and you're liberal and you're dumb. No, you're dumb. And it's just like, yo, man, I get enough of that in my home life with my parents and just on Facebook. I don't need that here. Like, where's the actual humor? Where'd that go?
Yeah.
Um, and it's just it just suffered because it just became more obvious that Tim Allen's kind of a dumbass. Yeah.
Never forget, Tim Allen was a coke snitch.
Yep.
And so every time he puts down Hollywood, it's like, oh, way to bite the hand that fed you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually watched a episode of this, and it truly is fragile masculinity. The show.
Yeah.
Um,
And
every
it, and
joke.
it just becomes that. It just doubles down on that so much more the longer the show goes on.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to remember the episode I saw is when he wasn't describing how awesome this random knife was he had in his collection.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, his daughter was dating a boy who cared about the environment, so therefore that boy was a pussy, and it's like, wow, in 2011 we're still doing this, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. No, no. Oh, also, Tim Allen doesn't understand why he isn't allowed to say the N word in his stand-up comedy, and
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know how to explain this to you.
Uh,
I need you to look in the mirror. That's why you can't say it.
I still love when Tim Allen tried to be cute and put out a tweet saying it was like a couple years ago. He put out a tweet saying if we evolved from monkeys, how come there's still monkeys? And somebody responded with, if we evolved from monkeys, why do we still have Tim Allen?
Yeah, yeah. I What a dumb man.
Yeah. But
But he is a great actor. I mean, he had to convince us that he was able to be an astronaut.
and Santa Claus.
Yeah, well, I
But
wish Tim Allen was make believe.
oh fuck, that's good.
Oh,
That got me good.
good. I'm glad.
But we'll move on to our last batch of topics for the evening with music of 2011. We've got a couple songs here. Um, This one, I fucking hated this one, and I hate this band. Sexy and I Know It by LMFAO. Uh, you want to talk about a band who's just trying too fucking hard, like from the name to the song to their aesthetic to just everything about them. Like, geez, are they even still around anymore? I fucking hope not.
I'm pretty sure they just had that one album and that was it.
Thank fucking God. Um, I remember like this hearing this song in like random commercials and movies, and like this is one of those songs that like also like boomers would try to ironically have as like ringtones, and it
Yeah,
it was just like no,
no,
like no,
no thanks.
yeah, and it just it was this, and then boomer men would also try to have and I know this because my stepdad was one of them, would have Kesha's Timber as a ringtone as well. Um, it'll just sidebar about that song. I remember when that came out, my stepdad was like, "I don't usually like that kind of music, but I can dig that song." I'm like, "Yeah, it's because of the music video, whatever."
Yeah, exactly.
Next song, "Rolling in the Deep" by Adele. I'm not a huge Adele fan. I don't really listen to her music. Nothing against her. It's just not my style of music. But this is when Adele really kicked off, and I just remember like everybody talking about her when this song and this album came out of hers.
Hmm.
And I mean, and she's still rolling along to this day. So good for her.
I just, Lord forgive me. Good for her. Respect her. She was actually a pretty solid Saturday Night Live host.
I saw
Um,
that episode. Yeah, yeah.
but I'll never forget Joan Rivers. Just she decided to roast her, and it was just like, yeah, rolling in the deep. What's that? Deep fried chicken? It's just like, wow. Thanks, Joan. And then like everyone was like, nah, that's not cool anymore. Um, but yeah,
Joan Rivers was a mixed bag altogether. Like on the one hand, getting roasted by her is an honor, but on the other hand, she was actually kind of a legitimate cunt.
oh, goodness gracious.
I calls Alexa Caesar, Riyadh. Shit, if Joan Rivers was alive today, she'd probably fucking agree with me. Am I
Move
wrong
on.
though?
Please move on.
No, I won't.
And then we just stay on this for 30 minutes. If Joe Rivers was alive, she'd probably agree with me.
She fucking would.
That's that's. I mean, people are going to use that when they testify in Congress now. They don't deserve rights, and if Joan Rivers was alive, she would agree with me.
Oh fuck. Go on with your thought.
Um, no, that was really it. I mean, what was the other song before Rolling in the Deep? Oh, LMFA. Oh, yeah, that album, Party Rock or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that really only needed to be popular the month it came out, if at that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I think the duo was like a nephew and uncle, honestly.
Of course it was.
And then like they just vanished, and it was like I don't even know. I guess we really got to start researching this shit before the night, we do it. But apparently they just wanted to focus on other stuff, and it's like, what?
Playing catch.
God, you're on a roll tonight.
Oh, next song, Firework by Katy Perry. Like 2010, 2011, 2012 was just like a good time for Katy Perry. She just kept putting out bops.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about last episode how that album of hers, Teenage Dream, was just a great album all around.
Hmm.
And then last song I got here on the list, Super Bass by Nicki Minaj. This was also when Nicki Minaj really blew up. I've never been a fan of her. I'm not a fan of Adele, but I can at least, be like, she's good at what she does. Nicki Minaj, I don't think Nicki Minaj is good at anything. But that's just my not so humble opinion. I mean, I just think her music is super derivative and just eh, she's just there in my opinion.
Um, the prototype to Cardi B.
Pretty much, yeah. But at least Nicki Minaj can actually rap. It's just she just can't put a good song together. Cardi B is like actually legitimately dumb. I think Cardi B might be legally retarded.
You're really going for broke tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I'm broke on thoughts other than Super Bass was it got stuck in my head though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I will
That's
not lie
fair.
to you. It got stuck in my head.
That I mean,
And
that was the thing with Nicki Minaj. Like, I never thought any of her songs were really fantastic, but they still managed to get stuck in your head for a while.
yeah. Especially when she did Anaconda,
Yeah.
where she just sampled Baby Got Back.
Yeah.
And then I forget what it was, but she then had the nerve to like put down another artist for sampling a song or to being like, oh yeah, it's they can't make up their own thing. It's like you literally just released a remix of Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was like horribly the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it got stuck in my head. And then Katy Perry, I especially remember Firework, the music video. The fireworks came out of her boobs, and she even said that she goes, "Oh, watch my new music video. They shoot out of my boobs," and it's like,
All
okay,
right.
Katy Perry, like that's thanks.
Yes, mommy.
Oh my, you have to be stopped at all costs. I have seen now what I would have to become to stop men like you. Not all men.
Yes, all men.
Yes. Well,
Any other thoughts?
no, I think we had a pretty solid return.
Yeah. Uh, Speaking of Cardi B again, um, remember in the 2020 election this last year when she like endorsed Bernie Sanders and Bernie started doing like stuff with her? It's like, Bernie, no, what are you doing? You're killing your campaign.
Yeah, it's like he sat down for interviews with her, and it's like
And it took Bernie all of 5 seconds to realize, oh, this bitch is dumb.
it's just like I don't know, man. Like I mean, he couldn't sit down with Rosario Dawson this time because she's Cory Booker's girlfriend, so that would have been weird. But it's like I don't know, man. You couldn't sit down with like other famous people that like you. It's like why are you doing this? And I
Yeah.
guess like she has a very mainstream platform, but yeah.
But God, did you see that argument she got into with Candace Owens on Twitter?
Oh yeah,
Fuck,
and I was like,
that was like watching somebody beat up a toddler.
it was like I
It
was
wasn't
watching,
fun.
I was almost watching that unfold, and I could say in Nathan Lane's voice, "Please don't help me."
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's ugh, yeah. Like Cardi B, God bless her, but she's
And
legitimately dumb.
I know her intentions were decent, but it's like you don't have good grammar.
Yeah,
Like,
you are out, ma'am. You're out of your wheelhouse on this one.
yeah, it's like just donate, show up, vote, donate, but like don't help me.
Which, granted, Candace Owens is out of her wheelhouse on that topic too, but whatever.
um, Candace Owens is doesn't have a real wheelhouse.
Yeah, Candace Owens is also a certifiable cunt.
Whew.
Joan Rivers would agree with me.
I need this to end.
All right, well, on that note, we'll go ahead and call it here tonight. Good episode. We'll be back next week. We're not going to do every Sunday anymore, just because of schedules. So just keep an eye on our Twitter at Fat Minute Radio, Facebook Fat Minute Radio, Instagram Fat Minute Radio. Keep an eye on us. We'll definitely be back next week. And hey, if you miss us live or you tune in late, we'll be uploaded on all the fun stuff: Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Google, Parlor. Um,
Oh,
but if you missed us, we'll be literally everywhere: Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Pornhub.
oh
Um,
my God, man.
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Don John Laughs. You can follow my co-host BVJ at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Puka Saucy. On that note, hope you all had a good night. It's nice being back. Hope you guys missed us as much as we missed you. And we'll be back. We'll be back next week when we discuss the year of 2012. So thank you. Fuck you. Goodbye.